John chapter 4. Who is this man we call Jesus? So, Maddie actually inspired this message a little bit, but God, the song you sing, Tell Me About My Jesus, that's why I got to thinking about that song, and I got to thinking about Tell Me About My Jesus. And I got to thinking about this line right here. Who is this man we call Jesus? And I started studying this week, and boy, that's a lot to study. There's a lot there when we start asking the question, who is this man called Jesus? And I got to reading in Matthew and going through Matthew, and I found a verse, and don't turn to it, but this is just in Matthew 6. In Matthew 16, verses 13 through 16, when Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Filipino, forgive me for not pronouncing it correct, he asked his disciples and saying, "Who do the men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" And they said, "Some say thou art John the Baptist, some say Elijah, some say Jeremias, or one of the prophets." Then Jesus said unto them, "But who say ye that I am?" And Simon Peter answered and said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." So when I read that verse, I seen a couple phrases in there that made me think. When Jesus said, "But who say ye that I am?" So I picked out that I am. So I decided I'm going to start, God showed me this, but I'm going to start looking at who does Jesus say he is. And that's where I come up with my lesson today. So I took the word I am out of verse 15 in Matthew 16. So I started looking at the I ams in the Bible, and probably the next few weeks, I don't know if I'll cover it. I won't cover it today. Absolutely will not cover it today. And I don't know if I'll finish it next week, but we're going to look at some I ams in the Bible, who Jesus says he is. So we're going to be in John chapter 4. And here in John, the first couple chapters, I'm just going to go over just a little summary of what's going on here in John chapter 6. Yep. In John chapter 6, Jesus had went up on a mountain with his disciples, and in previous chapters, there were about 5,000 men following him. So they were probably following him because they were interested in the miracles Jesus was performing. And the reason I say they were interested in the miracles, in John 4:48, Jesus says, "Except ye see wonders, ye will not believe. Except you see signs and wonders, ye will not believe." So in chapter 1 of John, he turns water into wine. Everybody's somewhat familiar with that story. In chapter 3, he had healed the nobleman's son. And in chapter 5, he had healed a man that had an infirmity for 38 years. So because of this, a large group of people of about 5,000 had started following Jesus, and because they wanted to see his miracles. And we'll look in John, we'll go back to John chapter 6. I said John chapter 4 a while ago, I'm sorry, but it's actually John chapter 6 and verse 2. "And a great multitude followed him, and because they saw his miracles which he did on them that were diseased." In John chapter 2, it basically says this multitude of people is following him because they're seeing his miracles. So we're going to read, I'm going to read through John 6, 3 through 14.
6, 3 through 14?
Yep, 6, 3 through 14. I said John chapter 4 a while ago. That was my mistake. I looked at a note here. Sorry, Isabel, that was my fault. I'm allowed to mess up every once in a while. Anybody that been in junior church with us knows I mess up a whole lot, so it's okay. We don't mind. I don't mind. All right, so John 6, verse 3. "And Jesus went up unto a mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. And the Passover feast of the Jews was nigh. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and saw a great company come unto him, and said unto Philip, Whence shall we buy bread that we may eat?" So Jesus is looking at this multitude, about 5,000 people. So they're hungry, it's time to eat, and he's looking to buy bread so they can eat. And he said this to prove him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered unto him, 200 pennyworths of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little. So they don't have enough money to buy enough food for everybody. So one of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said unto him, There is a lad here which has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, but what are they among so many? A lad, you know what a lad is? Yes.
I'm just going to say, isn't this the one where he feeds 5,000 people?
This is the one where he feeds 5,000 people. So I'm getting behind on my slides, so we're going to go here to the 5,000 people. So everybody know what a lad is. When he said there is a lad here. A lad is kind of like Noah. It's a young man, a young man. I'm going to say small. I'm not going to say small, but it's kind of like Noah. It's a young man. Noah's probably been fishing. He's caught a few fish in his basket. His mama's giving him some bread to eat while he's fishing. That's kind of like this little fella right here. You know, he's got a few fish, probably just enough for him to eat on his journey. Not enough to feed 5,000 people. So, but it says 2 small fishes and 5 barley loaves of bread. I think I actually got a picture of that right there. Yep, 2 little small fishes. Now, is that going to feed 5,000 people?
It don't look like that.
That wouldn't feed y'all in this room.
No.
All right. But what happened here? So when Jesus said, Make the men sit down, now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down and numbered about 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, and that's important. So anytime we eat, we always give thanks for what the God has provided us to eat. So Jesus here, he'd give thanks. He distributed it to his disciples, and his disciples to them that were sat down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would. So as much as they would, he give everybody as much as they wanted. So when he walked around with that basket, you could pick out 3 or 4 fishes, and you could pick out 3 or 4 loaves of bread to these 5,000 people to feed their whole families. And when they were filled, he said unto his disciples, Gather up the fragments that remaineth, that nothing be lost. Therefore they gathered them together and filled 12 baskets with fragments of the 5 barley loaves, which remaineth over and above unto them that had eaten. So when they gathered up so he started out with these 5 barley loaves and these 2 fishes. When they got done, how many baskets did they fill up? They had more left over than they started with. And that's just a blessing of God. So we're going to look at chapter 6, and we're going to jump over to verse 32. And I'm going somewhere, but I wanted to share this story of Jesus feeding with the bread. So we're going to jump to chapter 6, verse 32. And Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not bread from heaven, but my Father give you true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is which cometh down from heaven, and giveth life unto the world. And then said they unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread. So what bread is he talking about? Is anybody familiar with the children of Israel when they had left Egypt and they were in the wilderness and they were hungry? I think we talked about this a few weeks ago a little bit. And they were hungry and they were crying and they were murmuring, is actually what the Bible said. Well, God sent manna, which was a bread from heaven, and it formed on the ground, and they would eat this, and it was called manna. It was the bread from heaven. It was God's bread from heaven. Y'all with me? Somewhat? I'm trying not to lose you. And the word manna means, or is known in the Bible as bread from heaven or spiritual meat. So remember that, bread from heaven and spiritual meat. That's important to the next point. So, spiritual meat. And then we're going to go to John 6:35. Verse John 6:35. And this is where we start with the I ams. And Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. So Jesus said, I am the bread of life. I think I'm going to cover 7 I ams over the next couple of weeks. So in John 6:58, and y'all don't have to find all these verses. I'm going to jump around a little bit, but just know we're in John 6. This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna, and are dead, but he that eateth this bread shall live forever. And that was that reference back to in the Exodus where they were eating manna in the desert or in the wilderness. And so the bread that Jesus is giving here, what Jesus is saying when he says, I am the bread of life, he's saying, I'm the living bread. You need Jesus for the living bread. Throughout the Bible, bread symbolizes representation of God's life-sustaining provisions. So the bread. What is the bread? When we talk about bread, a lot of people say this is the bread. This is the bread we need to feed on.
What did you say it symbolized?
Bread symbolizes Bread is a symbolistic representation of God's life-sustaining provision. So we need physical food for us to live, but we need spiritual food for us to live a life in Christ. And this is our spiritual food now. It's the Bible. And we need to read our Bible. We need to study our Bible. And then when Jesus said, I am the bread of life, he's stating that, when Jesus said, I am the bread of life, he's stating he alone was their true source of spiritual life. So we come to God through Jesus Christ, our Savior. And he said both here on earth and in heaven. In John 6:51, and this is Jesus talking again, Jesus says, I am the living bread that cometh down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread I will give is my flesh, which I give for the life of the world. Which I will give for the life of the world. Does anybody know what that means? Jesus did come down from heaven, and he's the living bread. When he died on the cross for our sins, that was when he gave his life for the world. And it's the bread that we need to feed on consistently that we might have spiritual growth. And once again, we're talking about the Bible, and Jesus gave us the Bible. All right. So Jesus died on the cross for us, and that's how he give the living bread for our sins. In Matthew 6:11, we're looking at the Lord's Prayer. Maybe sometime in the future we're going to go through the Lord's Prayer a little bit, but it does say, "Give us our daily bread." That's in reference to studying God's Word. In Luke 11:3, it says it again, "Give us day by day our daily bread." And then in Matthew 4:3, verses 3 and 4, and this is where Jesus is in the wilderness and Satan's tempting Jesus. Y'all familiar with that story? A little bit? Satan tempted Jesus in the wilderness. But it says, "And the tempter came to him," and the tempter was Satan. "And the tempter came to him and said, If thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made into bread." So Satan is tempting Jesus. And Jesus I think Jesus had been praying for 40 days and 40 nights. He'd been fasting, so he hadn't eaten. Satan, don't worry about what's outside. So Satan was tempting Jesus to turn the stones into bread so he could eat. And Jesus replies to Satan and said, "It is written, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God." So what Jesus is telling Satan is we need to live by the words in this Bible. This is our guidebook. So, in conclusion, Jesus would not be tempted to rely on his own power. He lived to do the will of his Father. Jesus said, "I am the bread of life. His bread cometh from the Father in heaven." If we trust in God through Jesus, we will be saved. All right? That covers what I had.